So I hear people say 10,000 XRP won't make you rich. Well, wait until you see the math. So stick around, because what I found last night could actually change the way that you look at the next 15 years of your life. So here is the scene, right? It's 11 p.m. The kettle is whistling and I'm doom scrolling through yet another retire early with crypto thread. Now my thumb stops on one post from 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗓𝗕, you know, the guy who swears 10,000 XRP is your golden ticket. Now I almost swiped past, but curiosity wins. Half a mug of peppermint tea later, I'm elbow deep in spreadsheets, arguing with kind of two chatbots and sending myself voice notes to make sure, or at least that makes 0 sense to me, by the morning. Now that rabbit hole is exactly what I'm sharing with you today. How much XRP you'd actually need to kiss the 9 to 5 goodbye by 2040. But of course, I'm not going to be just reading numbers off a screen. I grabbed two of the loudest AI crystal balls, that's ChatGPT and Google Gemini, plus the notoriously bullish crew over at Telegram. And I grilled them like an overcooked barbecue. So, their answers? They were wildly different. One says that you'll need a mountain of tokens, and the other says a weekend's worth of Uber kind of money could actually potentially do it. So we're somewhere in the middle, of course, is where we're probably going to find the truth. And that's kind of what we're going to be dissecting right now. Now, before we kind of start carving up the data, here's a quick pit stop. There's a free crypto Discord server linked in the description below. That is where we argue about stuff like this 24/7. And if you've ever kind of screamed, why is XRP still stuck around $2 into the void, then that's kind of where you actually need to be moving to, right? That's your new living room, right? So hop in after the video, no paywall, no spammy gurus, just chart lovers and meme emojis. All right then, seatbelts, let's get started, or let's start with, well, the present. Because every retirement fantasy, it begins with cold, hard reality. So at the moment I'm recording, XRP is hovering around that kind of $2.35, right? That's $2.35, give or take a coffee cup wobble here or there. It's not exactly Lambo money, right? But hey, compared to where we were a couple of years back, progress is progress. Now the big question though is how far that little green logo can climb in the next 15 years. Enter contestant number 1, ChatGPT. Now I ask, buddy, what's a reasonable 2040 price target? And it spits back $22. Not 200, not 2000, 222, right? Now my first reaction, I laughed. The sort of half snort that you do when someone tells you that pineapple belongs on a pizza. But then I read the kind of reasoning, right? Expansion into global payments rails, clarity from US regulators, and institutional appetite once the SEC drama is, ancient history. When you kind of stack those dominoes, $22 suddenly kind of feels possible, right? It's not moonshot insane, but I could explain that to my accountant plausible. Okay, so here is where the number nerd in me kicks in. Let's say that you and I want $500,000 waiting for us on January the 1st, 2040. Now at $22 a pop, that would be 22,727 XRP tokens. Now you would need to scoop that up today, and that's going to set you back around 53 grand. So are you going to be digging under your sofa cushions? Probably not. But a committed dollar cost averaging strategy over a handful of years? Well, that's something that a lot of people in this community are already doing. So let's go ahead and double the dream to a cool $1 million. 45,000 tokens. The cost today, Well, that's going to be 𝗗𝗂𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗦, something like that. And that's going to be like house down payment money in some cities, rent deposit in others, but definitely within the realm of I've seen crazier crypto wages. Now, if you want to swagger into retirement with 5 million under the kind of hammock, well, that's going to set you back around 227,000 tokens. The price tag now is a spicy $500,000. So, still cheaper than kind of one Malibu beach house, but let's be real, that's elite whale territory. Now I'm gonna know what you're thinking. $22, really? That's cute. We've got NFTs flipping for more than that on a Tuesday afternoon. And it's a fair point, right? So let's go ahead and bump the stakes and ring in contestant number 2. That is Google Gemini. Now, you ask Gemini for a number and it's going to toss back 150. That's $150. Now, suddenly my peppermint tea kind of shifts from relaxing to did someone spike this thing? And the rationale? XRP is the backbone of institutional transfers, a swift killer, a central bank digital currency plumbing, and the whole 9 yards. Now, if even just half of that plays out, we're not talking Lambo, we're talking private island Wi-Fi issues. Okay, so let's push the calculator again. 500 grand at $150. You only need, 3,333 XRP. That's currently, around $7,800, which means one moderate tax refund or skipping 2 years of kind of venti caramel frappes, and you could theoretically get a retirement stack then. Bounce to $1 million and we're looking in at 6,666 XRP, around 15.5 grand at today's price. And the showstopper, $5 million, 33,333 XRP, which costs roughly 78 grand at the current prices. $78,000 is still serious coin though, right? But compared to a $500,000 from the first scenario, and that's a glorious discount on the dream. Okay, so if your brain is doing backflips, mine was too, right? Each AI had totally different kind of weather forecasts for the very same beach holiday. So I phoned a friend, as they do, right? Well, let's be more honest about it, more like I scrolled Telegram. Now, these kind of folks, they have been beating the bullish drum so hard that I'm surprised they haven't broken their sticks. They went full rock star and threw down a $160.34 price tag by 2040. Don't ask about the 34 cents, they claim it matters. Now, I think it's just their favorite kind of dinner order, if you will. At that sky-high number, the math turns downright ridiculous. Want $500,000 to retire with? Well, you're shopping for a mere 3,118 tokens, $7,300 today. Double that goal to $1 million retirement fund, and you've got 6,236 tokens. That's sub 15K in current dollars. And the grand $5 million retirement fund finish line? 31,183 tokens, costing around $73,000 as we speak today. If Telegon's crystal ball is indeed clear, your XRP stash needs only to be as big as your Fortnite skin collection. All the while, a little voice in my head kept squawking. Hold on. Why did the article typo say retire by 2014? Right? That boat sailed last decade. So I decided that that was a polite reminder from the universe that predicting the future is a very messy business. Typos, black swans, halving cycles, and presidential tweets included. So let's go ahead and pump the brakes for a second then, because numbers without context are as useless as hardware wallets without its seed phrase. Now, the real debate isn't $22 versus $150 versus $160. It's actually probability. What's more likely to happen, right? XRP merely matches its 2018 hype cycle ratio against Bitcoin, or XRP single-handedly replaces SWIFT and wins the CBDC Super Bowl. Investors love to chant "when moon," but probability is the unsexy grown-up in the room tugging at our sleeves. So I pulled up a chart of total crypto market cap versus 2040 global GDP projections. If digital assets carve out even 10% of that pie and XRP captures, let's say, 5% of cross-border settlement volume, well, $22 suddenly feels rather conservative. But 150, that requires not only Ripple winning every regulatory battle on Earth, but also kind of being the default rail for both retail remittances and central bank pipes. It's possible, sure, Amazon once sold only books, Netflix once mailed DVDs, and somehow, don't ask me how, but Dogecoin put a Shiba on the moon. But is any of it guaranteed? And the truth is, it's far from it. Then comes the human side of the equation. Us, right? Let me kind of tell you about my friend, Maya. She bought 12,000 XRP back when it was at 50 cents, stashed it into cold storage, and forgot the password. It's a true story. We spent an entire Friday night trying to guess her favorite childhood pet names. Turns out she spelled cinnamon with an extra N. Anyway, the lesson is, it's not just price projections that can derail retirements. It's plain old life. Lost keys, panic selling at the first red candle, spontaneous decisions to trade the bag for a meme coin that promises triple-digit daily APYs. We're messy creatures, let's face it. And so that brings us to the sneaky problem buried in every retire on XRP dream: timing. Right, let's say that everything kind of plays out. XRP hits triple digits by 2038. Wonderful. But what if you need tuition money in 2035? What if a medical bill pops up in 2029? Right, holding through storms takes not just conviction, but liquidity plans, side hustles, index funds, emergency catches, right? Now, crypto may be the volatile rocket fuel, but it's a lousy fire extinguisher when real life sparks start flying. And so here's how I kind of framed my own approach after wrestling with these kind of forecasts. First, decide on the lifestyle kind of number, not the coin number, right? If island living costs you 80 grand a year and you want to kind of coast for 30 years or so, your target's $2.4 million, right? Back solve from there, right? Second, spread the bet. I love XRP's utility pitch, but I also keep a slice in safer, boring assets. So think of mixing chili flakes with your pasta. Too much will torch your tongue, and too little and your dinner's a bit bland. Third, automate and forget, right? If buying 500 XRP a month is kind of doable, well, set it and forget it, right? And stop doom scrolling charts at 3 a.m. Yes, I'm talking about myself there. And by the way, if you're looking for a place to actually buy XRP without the customer service kind of purgatory or 100-step verification loops, Bluefin's got your back. There's a link in the description down below. It's the best up-and-coming crypto exchange that I've tried this year. It's got a slick interface, decent liquidity, and they haven't crashed once during my caffeine-fueled midnight trading sprees. Grab the referral link in the description down below, kick the tires, and thank me later when your limit order fills instead of kind of ghosting you. All right, so we're approaching the summit of this kind of nerdy mountain. So let's revisit some of the key takeaways in plain English. 1. If ChatGPT's modest $22 future does indeed plan out, well, you'll need somewhere between kind of 23 and 227,000 coins to hit a $500,000 to $5 million kind of retirement goals. That's a chunky stack, but not cosmic. 2. If Google Gemini's kind of $150 thesis is right, well, you could slide into early retirement on fewer than 7,000 XRP for $1 million cushion. Now that's the cost of your kind of used hatchback today. 3. If 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗠's $160.34, because that 34 cents matters, dreams kind of manifests, well, retirement could be cheaper than your next kitchen remodel. That's 3,000 to 31,000 tokens, depending on how grand your dreams are. 4. None of these scenarios mean squat if you can't hold through 15 years of crypto rollercoaster loops, regulatory thunderstorms, and your very own human temptations to ditch the plan at the first shiny new token. 5. You're going to want to back up your wallet, triple check your passphrases, and have an off-chain plan B for life's kind of curveballs. Because crypto math is easy, crypto psychology is boss level hard. And so, where does that leave us today? After all of this kind of number crunching, I kind of topped up my stack by a smidge, nothing reckless, just enough to round the numbers because my brain likes tidy columns. Now I set a reminder to review the allocation yearly, then I closed the chart and took a dog for a walk, right? Perspective is priceless and free cardio never hurts. And hey, if you want to trade these swings rather than just hodl in a dusty ledger, crack open a Bluefin account through the link that's in the description. There's kind of fee structure is light, the UI doesn't look like it was designed in 2014, and they occasionally drop promos like it's Easter eggs for early adopters. Combine that with our Discord server, brain trust if you will, and you've got the perfect 1-2 punch, sharp tools and sharper conversations. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with this final image then. It's 2040. We're clicking coconut drinks on the beach, right? Debating whether the next Ripple upgrade will shave settlement times by another second. One of us got there with 3,118 XRP, another needed 45,454, and someone else, probably the quiet kid in the back, never touched XRP at all, but made a fortune farming digital onions in the metaverse. Different paths, same sunset. The common thread, we had a plan, we stuck to it, and we keep learning from each other.